What's going on, YouTube? The setup around me is a little bit scuffed right now. Lots of moving parts around the room, and just came back from LA from the One Piece Regionals or the Bandai Card Fest. And man, was it a hell of a time. I can't wait to edit the vlog and show you guys the footage for those that might have missed the IRL streams. But in today's video, we have something really cool, which is an interview with somebody that I have gotten to know and get really close to over the past year since I've been playing One Piece TCG. And that is with Victor, who placed top 4 at Nationals. And I gotta say that I'm so proud of him for reaching top 4 with a deck that a lot of people did not see coming. That kind of wrote off and thought like, oh, it's a deck that isn't serious enough to compete with some of the other titans in the current meta, such as Sakazuki, Enel, and Katakuri. We get incredible insight into his mindset and why he is what some would be considered one of the best players now in the nation, having reached top 4. And so I hope that you guys enjoy the video, and let's get right into it.
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Perfect. Okay, I don't have to wear a headset then.
Nice. Now, you ain't trying to be super gamer mode?
No.
Oh my god. Holy shit. How's your day going, bro? You just wake up?
How about you?
Not bad. It's been busy morning. Started my day early, and yeah, gotta do a fun announcement, but I think people are also very hyped that the second part of the announcement is being able to talk to you, man.
Yeah. A Q&A would be dope.
So I guess first off, what were your expectations going into Nats?
Originally I had a lot of playtesting. I spent like a whole month playing. I had a 2-round bye because of topping at GenCon at a regional, so was pretty hyped on the 2-round bye, but a little bit worried just because, you know, like you have to play against other 2-round bye players, and it sucks because you're playing the best of the best basically, and you know, Swiss was good, and you know, Top Cut the next day was good too. So I'm glad that basically those days played out exactly how I thought it was going to play out.
Okay, and so for the first day, let's go to the first day then. What was your overall record ending?
So my first day, I ended my record X2, so 8-2, 2 buys, 4 or 6 wins, 2 losses.
Okay,
yeah, that sounds about right. I played against 4 Sakazukis, 2 Enels, a Katakuri, and a Purple Luffy. Those were my matchups on the first day.
dang, that's crazy. Okay, what were the two games that you lost?
Yeah, the only game that I lost was round 5 against Enel. I bricked really hard. I had like 7 non-counters at the end of the game. The game was like under 5 minutes. It was crazy.
Dang. Okay, yeah. That's pretty rough. And so you made, because I know a lot of people, they talk about, you know, the unfortunate events that happened at the tournament, kind of like how it was run and whatnot. And you know, when people, especially there's some people with a 2-round bye who were tilted by the time they started their matches, right? It's like you didn't even get to start till 3 o'clock. So it's like, what did you do to kind of stay cool and whatnot and not tilt off the face of the planet?
Yeah, so basically everybody got there at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning, waited in line. After getting in line, going to the tournament, the rounds were supposed to start at 9, 10 o'clock, and we didn't get our first match started until like 2, 3. So it was pretty frustrating. I think I fell asleep during some part of the day, so it was pretty tiring as well. I think it was like a 15-hour day for most of us. But I feel like it was probably in my favor just because we had more people that were just more burnt, more tired. So if you can just stay focused while you're playing in game, you can capitalize on a lot of your opponent's mistakes for sure.
Nice. And did you end up like eating food or doing anything? Like I know some people just grinded it. Like Clyde, no food at all on that first day.
Yeah. So on the first day, so I was hanging out with Nico or just another Hoppa basically the whole time. So we went out to get barbecue. We kicked it. We basically played, you know, all our matches in a pretty good pace, and I had snacks on me. So you know, yeah, life is good. Most of my matches only took less than like 8 to 10 minutes each. So I wasn't grinding it out like how some other players were.
Okay, yeah, that's good. That definitely plays a huge factor for sure, and that's kind of like how your deck runs, right? And how I feel like you play too. You play fast. You know what you're
Yeah.
doing, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so much you can do with the deck. So, like, on your 1 to 5 dawn, you only got like 1 or 2 plays. So you just got to play it the best way you can.
And so is that because for people that obviously I've been able to get to know you over the past year or so since I started playing One Piece, but for those that don't know you, Victor used to play Law, which is a deck that actually gives you a ton of options each turn, and him deciding to go with this deck where what you just said doesn't really have as many options per turn. What was the reasoning behind running this deck for such the biggest One Piece tournament?
Yeah, so it was basically a big meta call, right? Because before I was playing Law and OP1 through OP3, and then I was playing Zoro from OP4, and then we're in OP5 now, right? So OP5, basically switching over, trying out the new decks. I tried Sakazuki, I tried Enel, I tried Purple Luffy, and Purple Luffy was actually the first deck that I piloted. I went to the LA regionals with it, and I went. What did I go? I went X3. I went X. Well, I was X2 until the final round. And I lost the last round, and then I went X3. But I felt like I did a pretty good run, so I liked what Purple can offer: the ramping, the dawn efficiency, the effects to blow stuff up. So I thought Purple was really good. And when I was at the regionals in my round 8, I played against Red Purple Luffy and I beat him, but he was explaining to me why Red Purple Luffy was so good. Because I asked him like, "Oh, why do you even play the deck if there's other decks?" And he convinced me. He was just like, "This is the best deck for, because you can ramp, you can get to these dawns, you can use Gear 5." And then after the tournament, I just kept on thinking about it. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna lab and go play whatever I can with whatever locals I can and try out the deck. And so after playtesting and figuring out why the deck is good and bad, then I started labbing why or what deck choices or what cards I can put to make the deck even better. And that's why I have my Nats list. I've been having my Nats list for a month before Nats, so it was a pretty long time already.
Okay, nice. Yeah, I know. And so I got to play against Victor at locals and got to see him perform as well. And he was definitely keeping it under wraps. And I think that's why a lot of people were surprised at how well he did. And we've already been seeing people starting to run your deck list now. And
Yeah.
but they come to realize that it's not as easy as you think. They're like, damn, dude, this guy got top
Yeah.
4 with it. But it's definitely a big factor of it is the pilot, and Victor knows what to do for sure.
Yeah, yeah, and I played a lot of Nami. Oh, I was actually going to play Nami this for Nats. I had two choices: I had Nami or Rep or Luffy, and because I ran each deck every other tournament, I went undefeated with Red Purple Luffy, but I lost too many games with Nami, so that's the reason why I decided to run Red Purple Luffy in the first place. So a lot of people are gonna try the deck and they're gonna think that the ratios are wonky or the deck doesn't have a lot of like plays, but the deck is really really good. It's solid. It's hard to beat. It doesn't have really that bad of a matchup against any deck besides like Zoro or Bello Betty, but besides that, you basically go either 50-50 or 75-80 against most decks.
Nice. Little tangent, but you talk about Nami, and I know other people talk about Nami. Like Cody actually had said like, oh, maybe he was gonna run Nami. That was like his second option. What's up?
Yeah.
What's up with all the top players? Going with Nami. I've been noticing that.
Yeah, because I think Nami has all options to basically beat all the decks, right? It doesn't really have a bad matchup besides just Zoro and Bello Betty as well. It does well into yellow for sure. It beats all the yellows. Sakazuki is favorable, but it's not guaranteed. The only other bad matchup is Purple Luffy because they could just take their own life. But I mean, like you can high roll, you could play solitaire by yourself. It has good options. I mean, like, and a lot of people don't know how to play against it, so that's kind of the big like factor of why people like playing Nami in the first place. So if you don't know how to play against Nami, you'll lose for sure. And if you do know how to play, it's still really hard.
Okay. So we got actually one of your opponents in here, Clyde. He said, "Who's that good-looking guy right there?"
Shout out to Clyde, second place, killing it, going to Japan.
So this is another thing. This is a perfect time to ask this. Then was the first time on Friday you guys had play tested in the hotel.
Yeah.
Was that the first time that you had played against Clyde with your red purple Luffy deck?
Yeah, so me and just another Hoppa, we came through to the hotel and there was just a bunch of like, great players playing. Clyde just got out of a game with somebody else, and then Nico was like, "Hey, let me hop in so I could play against you." And me and Jackson were just like, "Yo, let's play." I took 2 games. He got one game 3, I believe. I bricked up really, really bad, and then 3 games after, beat him pretty convincingly. The deck is like doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing. I drew exactly what I needed, and I think for the most part he didn't know he knew how to play against it, but he didn't know how to play against my variation, because my variation, you'd have to know the deck list, and even if you know the deck list, you'd have to play correctly still. So I think playing against Clyde for sure gave him a little more experience to play against me as a player and also play against the deck. So
Yep.
I think that's why the games felt a little bit more easier to play, especially when I was playing against him in for the finals. So
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. I was like, dang, dude, did he leak the sauce? He showed Clyde some of the tech and.
Yeah, well, me and Nico made the joke before. It's like, oh, what if we see each other in the finals and stuff, And obviously, we almost did. We were very close to seeing each other in finals, but I think it was good because I got to see how he plays as well. And like I know Clyde is in the chat now. I actually feel like the way that Clyde plays against me is perfect for the way that I want to play against other people. So he's very logical. He plays very optimally. I want people to make more mistakes against me. And so when he doesn't make mistakes, it's easier to make those decisions where it's like, okay, well, I know he's going to do these things, as opposed to like worse players where I have to kind of pick and choose and guess what they're going to do and then capitalize and basically get my advantage from that way. Instead, it's very straightforward when I play against him.
That's fair. That's fair. And so Chinville in here, you know Chinville. You're familiar with him. He says that.
Troy.
Yes, Troy. Doxing him, bro. Dropping the government name. He says that. Do you think your list is still a good pick for big events now that it's been released, or is it? Does the surprise factor? Was that like a big part of why you wanted to run it?
Yeah, I think the deck is gonna run in. I think a lot of people will try to play it, and I think a lot of people are gonna run into the same problems. It's a hard deck to pilot. It's really, really hard. It's actually probably like as simple as the deck is. I feel like if you cannot see what's gonna happen like 5 or 6 turns in advance, you will for sure lose, right? And it's not as complicated. It's not as easy as saying like turn 1 Zoro and then go into gear 5 the next couple turns. Like you actually have to plan out what attacks your opponent's gotta make, what guys are gonna summon, what your Dawn is gotta be at what times, and you don't always want to summon Newgate when you can summon King instead and swing 7. Sometimes you not want to summon anybody's and like just swing big and then just play double blocker law and then strip 4 cards out of their hand, right? So I mean the deck it has some nuances for sure, and I feel like as the game progresses for the next month that we have this format, a lot of people will be trying out the deck, not doing well, and then there will be players that will be doing well, but then not have all the matchup knowledge. So I feel like even though people might know the deck list, it's a lot harder to beat even if you know what it is card for card.
Okay. So that, I guess that brings us into, let's go over your card for card in the deck here.
They'll ditch 2 cards out of their hand to get out of that, and then I'll just bring out Law and bring them back down to 5 cards in hand instead of 9, which is great. That's one of my plays I usually did.
Okay.
Moving on to the 5s, it's Red Rush Unblockable Luffy, probably close to the MVP for the deck, it's really, really good. It's underrated. It's basically like another attacker is super dawn efficient as well, and it's like a built-in Jambe. So it's kind of like the Zoro, except it just has built-in Jambe for a couple extra dawn. Not much to say there. 4 queens, unique queens, fixes your hands, brings out as a blocker. Most of the times when I play a lot of my matchups, I use him as an attacker as well because he cannot block efficiently for you. Not like how you play Purple Luffy, where Purple Luffy's a 5k. People will swing 5k into you and then you block for 6. For me, I'm a 6k leader. This is a 6k blocker, so if I block, I might as well just block with my hand and just attack with queen otherwise. The changes to the deck before nationals is I had 3 7-cost kid and I bumped the list down from 3 kids to 1 kid and 2 kings. The reason why is because I wanted a better Sakazuki matchup. And I was thinking about what beats Sakazuki just outright. And I feel like if you can get a body that can stick, that you can force them to take damage from, you'll be in a better position. So when I was playtesting, especially against a couple Sakazukis, I did both the variations in different tournaments. And I found that King, if it sticks, it gave me an overwhelming lead to just win. And if I don't win on like the next couple turns, it will put them far back because they'll have to get rid of it. They'll have to Ice Age Barcelona. They have to multiple eruption Helm Blaze. They'll have to do a lot of stuff to get rid of it. So that's the reason why I put it in my deck. And then it translated with my other matchups because Enel is a lot easier. You pop the Ohm, you pop the Holly. In my top in my match for 3rd place, I use King to pop like small dudes, and it helps with a lot of matchups for sure. Moving on, the reason why I kept 1 kid was because I still felt like kid is still better than 7-cost kid is better than king, but I feel like you still need a kid just in case if you play against Enel, because technically if you have like a combination of like 1 Newgate and 1 kid, you could beat Enel. Or if you have like a combination of kid, queen, and law, you could beat Enel. Or if you had queen, kid, and Newgate, you could for sure beat Enel. Or if you just have double Newgate, I guess you just beat Enel too. So those are the reasons why I ran the 7-cost kid. To go into 7 as a 7k leader on your turn, or on your turn and your opponent's turn, is just nuts. So it's
And
really,
so
really good.
I guess that because somebody asked, they said that the kid and the kings, they when they tried your deck, they said that they feel real bad before 10 dawn. Are they doing something wrong? Is it not the right time, or like when?
Yeah, well, it just depends on your matchup, right?
Yep.
You sometimes don't want to summon Newgate or Gear 5, and you'll want to summon other stuff before, right? Because like let's say that, I get to my regular dawn and my opponent has like 9 cards. I don't want to just drop Newgate because it's easy for them just to, Rebecca Hina Lucci and then put me off tempo, right? It's easier for me to summon a king, pop a Kuzan, for example, and that have them get rid of it, and then drop a kid next turn, and then force them to Ice Age, and then drop the Newgate after.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, I mean, like it does seem, it can seem like it is bad to draw into one or the other, but for the most part, you only run 1 kid in the top 64 all the way down. I only saw a kid like once or twice the whole day. I
Okay.
mainly saw kings, so when you run a one of, you rarely see it.
Except
Yeah, and
if it's
then the
if it's
kings,
soap sheep.
yeah, exactly. And the kings, it was amazing. I mean, like I want to see it basically in most, if not all, my matches.
Okay, everybody was saying, dude, that king's nasty, man. That
Yeah,
king definitely sealed the deal for a lot of matches.
yeah.
Um,
So,
yeah.
the rest of the list for the characters is 4 Newgate, 3 Gear 5. For the most part, you always want to see Gear 5 in basically all your matchups except Enel. Um, but I feel like because you play Searcher Nami, you play Queens, you could just basically high roll and see Gear 5 when you need to see Gear 5, not as opposed to like drawing into multiple copies. So I felt like 3 was the perfect number. I wouldn't change the Newgate or the Gear 5.
Okay.
I did play around with a couple different builds with playing the 10 cost Rush Luffy from the starter deck, which was not a bad pick because it does beat also Sakazuki. It also beats Enel because it's just a big ass body, and it basically says when you block, it kills something. So those were my other choices for the deck for characters, but for the most part, this list is pretty solid. I don't think I would change anything besides the Gene Bart. Going on to the options, Gum Gum Gatling, good out of life. You have a lot of non-counters in your hand, so 2 is perfect. I wouldn't bump it up anymore because you don't need that much more defense in your deck. For the defensive cards, we have 4 Radical Beams and 4 Baguas. 4 Rad Beams is a must. No, nothing to say there. 4 Baguas. I know that people are saying that this is the spicy tech for the deck, but this is the card that actually won me the majority of my games, just because a lot of players did not know about Bagua or how to play against Bagua, so they just swung out a turn and they allow me to ramp without having to use Orjo or Gene Bart. I get to keep all those cards as counter in my hand, and then I get to punish them by bringing out whatever I want after. So
Yeah, someone in chat was asking, when does Victor use the Thunder Bagwas?
yeah, so I use So like a lot of the games I'll play, like if I go, let's say I go second, right? I'll swing
Oh shit.
on their let's say on their 3 Dawn, they'll attach Dawn and swing, I'll take it. I'll swing 8 on my 4 Dawn, and then I'll leave 2 up, and then they'll swing a big number again, I'll Bagua, and then I'll be on curve right after, because if I was on 4, I go up to 6, and at that, because of Bagua, I'll go to 7. So it's easy for me to swing 7, force them to take the life because it's a huge hit, and then play King, which is a good example of what I did a lot of my games against Sakazuki. And so it doesn't seem like you're on. When I say you're on curve, it doesn't seem like you're on curve because you are on 7 instead of 8. But if you are at 7 with Bagua and you play King, you go back down to 6. And then when you refresh your 2 Dons, you'll actually be at 8 Dons, so you can ramp up to 9. If you didn't play Bagua the turn before and you just play King, what happens is you'll go down to 5 Don and then you go up to 7. So you'll be off curve when you play King.
That's crazy.
And on your 4 Don, you can't play any ramping cards unless you play Zoro. Yeah, but it's bad. If you play Zoro against Sakazuki, you just straight up lose, right? So you can't play Gene Bart. So the only other cards that you could play is other cards like Basil Hawkins, Disaster All-Star, stuff like that. But I don't play those cards, so I can't do those same plays. If I go first and I'm at 3 Dawn and then I go up to 5 and I swing 8 and then leave 2 up for Bagua and then they swing on my 5 Dawn, then I'll Bagua go up to 6 and then on my turn I'll go up to 8 and then I'll just ramp up from there. So it's pretty straightforward. If you have 1 Bagua, you basically just ramp up to your curve like really, really quickly.
Okay. And then for your last card, the 2 of Fire Fist, someone was asking, are those strictly for popping low cost blockers?
Yeah, so I play 2 Jambes, self-explanatory, basically unblockable. I play 2 Fire Fist, which was my tech of the whole nationals, because my thought process was I was looking at all the other lists or the other numbers from regionals, treasure cups, big events, and I saw, even though Enel was winning a lot of the tournaments in NA, a lot of people were still playing Sakazuki. So I was saying, okay, well, if a lot of people are playing Sakazuki, I want a card to out Sakazuki. And like a lot of times what you'll see a Sakazuki player do is bring out Rebecca Hinaluchi, right? That's like their bread and butter. But there's no way to out the Rebecca, because in most of the decks you'll swing and they'll block with a Rebecca and they got a free Hina and basically they played a Lucci, which is really frustrating to deal with. So after some playtesting, I had pistol in my deck instead of the Fire Fist, but I felt like it was a little bit too expensive, but it outed Kuzan. But I was like, okay, well, if I play King, then I out the Kuzan. If I play Fire Fist, then I can out the Rebecca and I can out basically any other card. So my thought process was, if I can kill the Rebecca and swing over their like 7 cost Barcelona or swing over their whatever guy that's rested, then I can get value, or I can use it. I can use it to pop the Rebecca and then just swing big and then put them under lethal, because a lot of times at 2 life they'll play Rebecca Hinaluchi and they'll think that they're safe. But what I'll do like at 9 Dawn is I'll play Fire Fist, pop it, swing 7, bring out King.
Okay.
So that's my usual play that I did on my 9 Dawn instead of bring out Newgate. Because if you play Newgate and they have Rebecca and you swing 8, they're just gonna block with the Rebecca, and then they're just gonna do Ice Age into 7 cost Barcelona. Then you're so behind.
Yeah, no, it was crazy. We played. I think I played 5 games against Victor or something. 4 games against Victor on Friday night, and only took one. Crazy.
Yeah. And I know that a lot of people will say, well, that's too techy against Sakazuki, but it's actually good against basically all your matchups, because it's basically like a more expensive Gordon if you want to think about it like that. It gives you 1 extra reducing, but if you have Newgate out, you basically run over everything, right? A lot of times what I have people doing is I'll have Sakazuki players, I'll swing 6 or 7, they'll block with a 1 or 2k, and then I'll play Fire Fist, and then I'll use my Namis or Zoros to swing, into their rested 4 cost Barcelona. And so a lot of times like you'll reduce things and your opponent won't remember or they won't know, and then they'll just let it die. So in my in my 6th round, I think I play against Sakazuki. At the very last turns, I Fire Fisted, popped the Rebecca. I swung into life, and he blocked with Barcelona with a 2k when I swung at 7, and he was like, "Cool, I'll block that." And I'm like, "Oh, you're reduced by 4," and he was like, "Oh shit." So he lost a blocker, he lost a 2k, and he's hella behind, right?
Yep.
So he just straight up lost because he didn't because he read what Fire Fist did, but he didn't like internalize what it did.
Oh my god. Someone said that were you ever worried about Purple Luffy swarming board with Magellans, thus messing up your ramp?
No, because for the most part, if you're playing your own game, you'll win regardless. Because Purple Luffy, they have a problem with if they take any life, they basically just straight up lose, right? Because Purple Luffy is essentially a 4 life leader. You always take the first one, it becomes 4 life automatically. So if I'm playing Red Purple Luffy and I swing 7, they have to guard it. Because if they don't guard it, it's nothing stops me from going, 7 again and bringing out King, right? So like for Purple Luffy, yeah, it seems like it's a pretty bad. It can seem like it's a bad matchup, but because you're a 6k leader, they can't swing on you first turn or second turn or first turn really, because on their 4 Dawn they're gonna bring out a 4 cost and then or ramp bring out 4 cost. They can't swing into you. Even on their 5 Dawn, they could bring out 4 cost and then swing into you, but I mean it gives you range for Thunder Bagua, so. For the most part, if you see Bagua's radical beams, you bring out the queens and you bring out Newgate and 10 costs, like you'll win that matchup for sure.
There's some people in chat who say that they feel so dumb listening to you. He's like chess moving this shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's insane. Victor's thinking 10 steps ahead, man. It's wild. He can predict how the whole game will go. It's crazy.
Yeah. So for me, I the reason, and Voodoo brought this up a little bit earlier. I used to play a lot of Law, and so what I found is like Sakazuki is very similar to Law. You need a lot of combo pieces. You need to know what your Dons can do. You need to know what you can swing at, what your opponent can do to you in the next turn. And I felt like it was too hard to play a deck for 10 rounds or 11 rounds, and then if you're to win, to cut to top cut and play like optimally. And then also with playing optimally, drawing well. And so I want to play something more simpler. And so this is the most simple deck you can play. You can only play like 1 or 2 cards a turn. The most complicated thing that you have to think about is when you play Queen and what cards to discard, right? Most of the time it's not even complicated. If you have 2 Gear 5s in your hand, discard one of them. If you have 3 Newgates, discard one of them. It's like pretty straightforward. So I want to play a deck that was simple enough where if I was to play against other people, I wouldn't make a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
And so if your opponent makes mistakes, then you just straight up win. If you make no mistakes, then you have a higher chance of winning. So that's why I stuck with red, purple, Luffy.
Now, what about you didn't encounter any green kids in the event, but someone in chat said that red, purple, Luffy loses super easy to green kid.
I actually played against Green Kid at a box tournament and at our locals at Uncles in what is it, Redmond, Washington. And he played exactly how I thought he was gonna play. He basically double swung every turn. He brought out beige, kept on swinging.
Sad,
But
thanks so much for the 40 months.
Is really good if you know what to do, because all you really have to do is just go to 0 life, bring out Law, bring out Queen, Gear 5, Newgate, do whatever you need to do, and then just swing at them. Because for the most part, even if they have counter in their hand, they're gonna be at low hand size because they have to keep on ditching every turn. So it can be a bad matchup if you don't know how to play against it, for sure. But if you do know what they're trying to accomplish, nothing stops you from just bringing out multiple blockers and swinging big with your Luffy.
Okay. So the 2x swing every turn don't scare you.
Yeah, it does not scare me.
Okay,
for sure. And even like Katakuri, which is supposed to be favored against this deck, if you know how to play against it, because like they're gonna swing 7 at you every turn anyway. And because I don't run that many 2Ks, I have to depend on my options. As long as you're comfortable being at 1 or 0 life, like you're gonna be okay. It's only if you're stressed out and you don't know what to do and know what cards to look for is when you'll lose, for sure. And it doesn't change when you're playing against a green kid.
So then that does bring us into the next question for some people is, walk us through the Enel and Kata matchup. What you were just saying, where Kata is supposed to be favored, but in your opinion, against you, it's not, huh?
Yeah, well, it's more 50-50. For sure.
Okay.
It's not like Kata will blow me out, but it's not as easy as saying like, oh, Kata wins every single time. For the most part, when you play against Katakuri, first and second doesn't really matter too much. My game plan when I mulligan for my hands is, I know Katakuri is gonna bring out Parasparrow. I know they're gonna bring out 7 costs, 7 cost Mom, 8 Katakuri, or 10 Mom. So my goal is to either get to 1 life or 0 life basically as quickly as possible. So then at that, I don't have to worry so much about all the extra cards that they can play. So if I go to 0 life or 1 life and I have the right cards, then basically what will happen is, I'll take the life and then I'll block her up. I can let them Thunderbolt me, but as long as I keep the right amount of Dawn or right amount of counter, then I can counter out. And then I can go for a lethal push next turn. If I am playing against Katakuri and they 10 mom me, but I defended so early, then I burn the life that I wouldn't had in my hand normally, and I give them a plus. So I want them to feel uncomfortable playing big mom in the first place. So probably won't. I tried not to let them get to that point anyway. So for the most part, the match, in my opinion, is 50-50, but other people will say that Kata is favored.
Okay. And then what about Enel?
Enel's really, really easy. I mean, like how people say that purple Luffy is good against Enel? Purple Luffy is good is because you bring out big bodies. Well, I bring out more big bodies, and my bigger bodies do a lot more stuff because they only have technically like Queen and Kaido. For me, I have Newgate, King, Kid, and Gear 5 if I want to summon Gear 5, right? So usually like what will happen is if, let's say, optimally I win my dice roll and I go second, I'll pass. They're at 1, they're at 3 Dawn, and then they'll swing big. I'll take it, right? On my 4 Dawn, I'll swing 6 or 7, and they'll take it, and then I'll either pass so I can Thunder Bagua, or I'll summon Zoro. So let's say I summon Zoro, not optimally. On their turn, they're gonna on 5 Dawn, they can't even summon Gadatsu because it won't pop the Zoro, but they'll summon like Ohm Holly or something, right? They only took 1 life so far. On my 6th Dawn, I'm gonna swing with Zoro, gain a Dawn. I'm gonna swing.
Bro, he's running the whole game through for us
with my leader.
It's crazy.
And then I'm gonna go into like a Queen, a King, blocker Law. I'll go into anything, but they'll be basically at 0 life, and the next turn they'll be at 7 dan. That's basically what happens. They'll play. They'll if they play 7 costs, they'll play 7 costs. If they play other stuff, they'll play other stuff. But what happens at the end of the game, which is really, really important, is that if you drop King, Newgate, Kid, then basically every single turn after, they have to recover. So let's say that they're at that 1 life when I was at 6 dawn, and then let's say I never ramped with Zoro, and then I go to my 8 dawn. Nothing stops me from going Newgate and then just passing. I don't even need to swing. I just go into Newgate and pass if they're at 1 life. Usually what happens is they'll be naturally at 2 life, and then I'll swing 8 with leader, and then or Newgate and swing 8 with leader. They're at one life. They have to recover right then and there. If they do not recover, nothing stops me from going Newgate into Luffy and going into game, or going Newgate into Kid and swinging 9 again, and then forcing them to take all the life. So what will usually happen is, let's say there's one route where they don't recover and they bring out a body and they swing at me. I can swing 10 with Newgate and they take it, and then bring out another, bring out like any other body like a law, and then force them to strip 2 cards in their hand, and then swing again at a big number, and then have them at 0 life. A lot of times what they'll do is they'll block the first attack, and then I bring out Newgate, and then I just pass again. So now I have double Newgate, right? You don't always get double Newgate, but it does happen a lot. And if you don't, then you just bring out Kid into Newgate. It's kind of the same thing. You just swing 1 at a time, and you just see how much counter they're willing to drop.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah. So the game is pretty easy and pretty simple if you are comfortable with being at low life, and also being comfortable having a good game plan of what to do, and hopefully you see the cards that you need.
He said the game easy, you guys. Top 4 easy, man.
Yeah.
Oh my god. And yeah, so like actually a good amount of my community doesn't come from One Piece. But they have enjoyed the journey that I've been on and whatnot, and they're just mind blown by how your brain works, and they're like, bro, you got an OP PhD from Harvard. They said that you know more about OPTCG than they know about their own job. Yeah. It's crazy, man.
Yeah.
And, wow. It's definitely, they say that you're a Vegapunk.
A Victor Punk, yeah, probably.
A Victor Punk, yep. Yeah. Oh my god. And so now, are you happy? Are you happy with your results? Are you happy with how you performed?
Yeah, I think obviously getting so close to going to the finals and winning nationals was for sure a bummer. I went through the 7 stages of grief like twice. I went through it when I was playing against Zoro. I went through it when I was leaving the convention, and then because I like to think, right? So one of the things I kept on going through was when I play against Jackson in the very last round, was it a good call to bring out 5 cost Luffy, swing unblockable, and then he had swing unblockable for 9, and he had 10k to counter out with, right? And I kept on thinking, well, what if I play Queen? But then I thought about I didn't have a Rad Beam or a Bagua, but I looked at the top 3 cards. I would have drawn into Bagua, so would have been okay. But then I thought about, well, Sod Mancherry, so he could have used Mancherry, grabbed another 2k, and then he would have had 12k counter his hand, or he could have drawn another counter, so he could have had 13 or 14k. So at the end of the day, I had to go through emotions. Is what it is. But overall, my my results was amazing. I mean, day 2 when I didn't think I was gonna day 2 because the rounds were cut 1 or 2 rounds.
2 rounds. Yeah, at first it was cut 1 round, and then it cut another round, so it became 10 rounds instead of 12. It was crazy.
Yeah, because there's 3 undefeated still, so it could have technically went 2 more rounds. I actually lost the very last round to Sakazuki. So I felt really bad being X2. The rounds were cut early, and I remember leaving the convention with Nico, and I was like, I'm just not gonna top. I'm not gonna even go through the motions of thinking that I'm gonna top, because there's been too many times where I go X2 and I don't make top cut.
Mm-hmm.
And when I started getting text messages from everyone. Everyone's like, "Oh, congrats, Victor, 41st, blah blah blah." I was like, "Oh my god, I didn't even get a chance to look at the standings yet." And so going into day 2, I was like, I hope I only play against Sakazuki. And on my side of the bracket I only played against Sakazuki the whole day. Even against Jackson, even when I got to Jackson, I was like Sakazuki. The only time I didn't play Sakazuki was for third place. And so like I am super grateful and thankful for all the players that I have around me, especially from Washington. I get one of the best playtesting partners, Justin on the Hoppa, playing with me. And 4th place, even though it's not third, second, or first, is still amazing. And this is probably the best I've ever done in any card game. So I'm like super grateful and thankful that I'm here and that I'm doing so well.
Let's go, man. Yeah, for those that don't know, for those that weren't watching the live stream, man, Victor was gonna be playing Digimon. You guys, he was thinking about playing Digimon at Bandai Card Fest.
Yeah. And I love Digimon, so it was one of those games where like it would be very easy for me to be like, oh, I'm just gonna play Digimon instead of One Piece. But I spent too much time play testing and talking with everyone and getting my thoughts together about the game. So I got to play One Piece one time for the one time, and I showed out, so it was great.
That's crazy, man. And now everybody from Washington's like, bro, what about me, man? What about me being your playtest partner, bro? Like,
yeah. And I mean, we playtest a lot, and I mean, like, I wish you would come to more of the events and hang out. But like, I know you're a busy man, and you got other stuff. So whenever we can get into it, like,
shit,
we'll
bro. I got thrown under the bus here, shit, dude.
No, but I mean, I mean, every time we see each other, it's always good vibes with you. We always play test whenever we can. So I mean, like, yeah, I mean, it's always good.
Definitely.
It's always a good time whenever we get voodoo.
Definitely, bro. And ever since the first day that I stepped foot into Zulus and you and Nico there, I was asking you guys for some extra cards, man.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I think our first time was at Uncle Games, right? Was it?
It was either at Zulu's probably Zulu's or Uncle. I think officially meeting was probably at Uncle's, but I had met I had asked Nico for some cards, and he looked at you and was like, "Hey, you got these extra cards?" And you're like, "Nah."
Yeah. And I think we've known each other or known of each other for a while now, because I think our groups ran in the same circles, and we were I think like our friend groups knew each other as well, so it was like pretty cool to just reconnect with, especially and meet new people.
Yeah, so it was hella funny when you met Johnny.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, do you know me?" And Nico actually thought that I was joking, and I was like, "Yeah, I do know you." And then at that, he was like, "Where?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, high school and stuff, and tennis." So yeah, it was good. It was good seeing him again.
Crazy, man. And so now, what are you gonna be doing with your prizing, man? People want to see this uncut sheet and.
Yeah. I think probably hold on to the pricing for a little bit, maybe sell it. I mean, we've already had offers for people to buy stuff, but for the most part, like we own a bunch of businesses, so like money is not an issue for us. So it's not like we're in a rush to sell. So for the most part, yeah, I mean, it is. It is what it is.
I know, like a lot of people who have just kept it sealed. Did you open up the sheet to see it with your own eyes or no? Okay.
No, it's definitely worth a lot more inside of the cardboard box that you get. Like not open, right?
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, dude, I think, man, if you put it in a nice frame, you might be able to sell it from, I don't know, man. Like when it's on display, it might be,
yeah, I mean, it's a nice art piece for sure. But with like how crazy life is and all the people out, like I don't want people breaking into like a warehouse or an office to find it and be like, oh my god, looking for the One Piece, right? Like that's just how it works. So yeah.
Oh my god. Chat says just a peek, bro.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I mean, like everybody's been asking about the uncut sheet and to see it, but it's just like it makes more sense to keep it sealed. So.
Yeah. Oh, they said try to PSA it.
Yeah, I mean that's something that we talked about as well, but I don't know if they do a PSA for a whole sheet. That'd be kind of crazy.
It's shit, dude. For a sheet, they might make an exception, man. Who knows, dude?
Yeah.
Oh my god! And so the sheet, I believe, has 3 mangas on it. I think it has all 3 mangas.
Yeah, I think the only card that's missing is the signature Oda. I think that's the only card that's not on there. So it has the 3 mangas, it has all the alt arts, that's all the leaders, all the alt arts on that sheet.
That's just wild, man. Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it was scary playing in the tournament on the second day because 64 was pretty easy. 32 was actually my hardest matchup, and that's the matchup where you're like, I need that uncut sheet, right? So it's just like I need to win it because it's like 30 grand plus or whatever, right?
Hmm.
And so that's in my matchups. That was the only game at the time that I dropped one game, and I dropped the first game against Sakazuki, and then I won the next 2 games against him to get to top 16.
Whew.
And so after top 16, I played more Sakazuki's, which I didn't drop any games until I got to Clyde. But the games got easier and easier throughout the day, even though there was more pricing at stake, right? Because top 16, if you win, you get a play mat, which is great. And top 8, every round that you win, you get like a finalist and a top cut player mat or whatever. So, like the pricing keeps on getting more and more crazy. And for the most part, I didn't really think about the pricing, or I didn't care about the pricing. So I didn't have any extra stress on me. The only stress I had was just to play for the uncut sheet.
Nice, man.
So I think if you have the mentality of like, hey, the pricing doesn't matter and you're playing for glory, then it makes it easier to play because then you don't have to get all the extra stress of, like you have to win this because you need to win these pricing. You're playing because you just want to win.
Hmm. Is there any of your prizing that you know that you will not let go? It kind of as like a a trophy or memento of sort.
Yeah, for the most part, I've never been into like high rarity stuff, or I've never been into like expensive cards. So probably just
Says the
like,
dude who's trying to look for alt art Newgate to complete his deck
yeah,
and scrambling before the tournament.
so I messed up because I accidentally picked up Zorojiros and I accidentally picked up Yamato Don. So I was like, like at the time I was okay just playing the OP1 Shanks Don, or the OP1 Luffy Dons. I think it was Luffy Dons. But whatever Luffy Dons it is that I'm gonna be a Pirate King, I've been playing with forever. And so when I picked up the Yamato Dons, I picked up 4 accidentally in a trade. And I was like, I might as well complete the playset. And then at the time, I was like, I picked up 1 Newgate and 2 Zoro. So I was like, I might as well complete the playset for these as well. Because it's easier to trade a playset than just trade one off. So then when I got all the cards together, I was like, well, I might as well play with it. And then I firmly believe that if you're playing with alt arts, it makes your attacks stronger, or makes your play stronger.
Shit, bro, that's why I didn't do good, man.
Yeah, so you need to alt art your whole deck if you want to be the best. Is what I'll say now.
Oh my god, alt art buff is real, you guys. You heard it here.
Yeah.
You heard it here, man. And so maybe is that shit, dude? What do you remember? What Don Jackson was using? Maybe that's the difference because you guys probably have like blinged out decks, but then the Don, man, whoever has the more expensive Don can be taking the match home.
So Jackson, I think I asked him about it before, and he doesn't care about rarity. So for him, it's he's okay playing whatever. But I think he does play with the Straw Hat Dons.
Okay,
I think that's what he plays with. If Jackson's in the chat, you should comment so we can all know what the Don spice is.
Oh my god, dude.
Yeah.
Yep. Now everybody's gonna be, dude. Market manipulation is gonna be happen even more now. Everybody's gonna be buying all their alt arts.
Yeah, I mean, like, I always say, like, for the most part, if you have all the nice cards, you're more invested into the deck, you're more invested into the game. So, like something that I bring up a lot is like, how often do you like connect with your deck? Do you talk to your deck? Do you have your deck next to your bedside when you sleep? Like, how often, how often do you imbue your hockey into the deck? So it's one of those things where, like, if you spend more time and more money on the game, like, you're gonna get a lot better for sure.
Bro,
And
people are gonna be thinking that we are definitely some Washington boys, man. That's some high ass shit right there, dude.
Yeah.
We're taking some shrooms and taking our deck out into the woods. Oh my god, dude. That's legendary, man.
Yeah, for sure.
That's fucking legendary. But no, I really appreciate you giving us some of your time. Yeah, it looks like the stream is dying a little bit.
No, we're good.
Oh, it's a little delayed. Oh, it's catching up.
me see if I can.
Basically, whales are OP. Oh my god. Oh.
Okay, now it is. Should be working. Yep. Cool.
Okay, there we go. So I guess this is definitely some things that people are wondering after hearing you talk, because a lot of people might not know who Victor is. I mean, Victor stays real low key, man. He doesn't necessarily care to be out in the spotlight or anything like that. But would you ever consider, with all this knowledge that you have, would you ever consider coaching, Patreon, any of that kind of shit that people are riding the wave on? Somebody hits top 16 or after this Nats, and they're like, bro, I'm starting a Patreon, bro.
Yeah, and after our rounds and after Nats, I probably had like 4 or 5 people come up to me and just ask if, like I do coaching, or if I, have a Patreon, or if I have any kind of information online, or if they can even get my handle like for Instagram or Facebook, so that they can chat with me about the game.
Mm-hmm.
For the most part, like I like playing the game and I like talking about the game. I have a lot of insight about the game, but for the most part, I like just doing it with my friends. So probably no Patreon, no YouTube, no coaching or anything as of right now, anyway.
There we go, you guys. Mr. _
Yeah,
Voodoo on
sorry.
YouTube. That's where you guys gotta go to find Victor, man.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah, so if you
God.
want exclusive content, see me on Voodoo stream, exclusive only to Voodoo.
Yep. Let's
Yeah,
go, bro. Oh my god. Yeah, and come up to Washington if you guys ever. I know that we've had some people talk about wanting to go to Grand Bounty after seeing me stream it and the play mats and stuff like that. And so if you guys ever want to come up and get some good practice against some of the best players in the world, you guys come to Washington, bro, for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
In the US for sure.
Yeah. Do you think? So I heard that Worlds is gonna be 12 people. Do you think that there's gonna be any kind of like wild card spot or anything like that, or you think it's just hard set in stone?
It is hard because I feel like all the Asian players that are playing the game, they're one set ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying that that's an advantage, but because they have more knowledge, more insight with the situations that can happen, and obviously the game is probably more advanced. That going back to a format from before, it seems a little bit simple. I feel like maybe they'll just have more game knowledge about One Piece in general, but I don't know if they're gonna pull out any crazy decks unless if Jackson wants to run Red Purple Luffy at Nats.
Oh,
then
shit.
then that'll be the only coaching that I do for in my career. But otherwise, it's probably just gonna be Sakazuki's, Enel's. It'll probably maybe be Purple Luffy or even a Nami. So those are the decks I think that are gonna play at the world level.
Okay. And then for I guess Nats being kind of like in the middle tour of a set. We still have a little bit more to go for OPO5, but are you looking forward to anything for the rest of this set? Are you gonna be testing out any other things? You just kind of taking a back seat now and just wait until 06?
Yeah, so I absolutely love Red Purple Luffy. I love where it's at. I love the meta that we're in right now, and even if the meta shifts, I think it'll even be more fun. I think the deck there's still so much to learn about the deck. There's still so much to learn about the gameplay that you can do against other decks and the specific situations that you can get into. And I feel like because of how the deck operates, there's still so much room to grow. So I feel like for the following tournaments, I'll probably be running Red Purple Luffy. And if I don't run it, I'll probably be playing Nami, but most likely Red Purple. That's basically it.
Are you in any of the Treasure Cups or regionals for February or March?
Yeah, I think I'm in the Treasure Cup for Core, and then I'm in the regionals in March. So those are the tournaments that you'll probably see me at next.
Let's go, bro. Because you don't have a cereal yet, right?
I don't. So
that's crazy, bro. Fuck a cereal when you got an uncut sheet, bro.
I know. Yeah, and so that's actually something I was talking to Justin Alhaba, because he has 2 cereal Luffys, and I was like, you know what? Like, does this top like a cereal Luffy? I don't know. It seems like I don't know if like anything will top going top 4 at at nationals, right? So before I was always so close in getting top 8, getting a Zero Luffy, but this kind of solidifies in my mind my place in the One Piece world. So
Yeah, no, definitely. And I don't know if the rankings are, I know like there's like limitless rankings and stuff like that. I don't know if that's officially come out yet, but I'm curious to see where you end up landing on there.
yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be really interesting. But hey, man, I really, really appreciate your time, and it's
Yeah,
really,
thank
really
you.
cool for the community to officially meet one of the top 4 players from Nats and somebody that's a good friend of ours.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me, and thanks for taking your time to interview, and also what you do for the community is huge. Not only just from the support, but also like what you do for just communication and gameplay and all the knowledge and just being a personality. Like, we love you, man.
Hey, I appreciate it a lot, brother. Love you too, man. And yeah, I know you're a busy man. Chat was like, damn, dude, this guy got businesses. This guy's
Yeah.
rich, dude. They're like, shit, man.
Not rich, not yet. Anyway.
He's got places to be. You guys heard his phone going off and everything like that. He's definitely got people hitting him up all the time. Even when he's at tournaments, locals and stuff, he's always like, oh shit, gotta pick up a phone call, and he's still playing while he's on the phone call and just whooping your ass.
I don't do it on purpose.
Oh my god. But I appreciate it, Victor. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, man.
No, thank you, and yeah, have a great day, and I'll be seeing you soon, brother.
Yeah, later.
All right, peace. All right, that is the end of the video right here. If you guys have watched the whole thing and enjoyed it so far, make sure you guys go hit that like button. Go comment down below. Let me know how you guys are doing. Let me know what you thought about the video. And as always, good luck in your guys' matches. Good luck in the locals, store championships, regionals, whatever it might be. Stay winning, and I'll see you guys in the next one.